Good evening, everyone. Thank you again so much for tuning in. This is the Real Deal Fam Network, and I am Andre, and this is the beautiful wife, Essie.
And
Oh,
and we're back. We're back. We had a couple days off, but we're back.
As y'all can see, she quite juiced up. My bad. But again, thank y'all so much for tuning in. We do appreciate all the support we've been getting. And if you could, at this moment, could you please hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell, as well as we would love some thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Hey, y'all are watching the video, so just give us a
thumbs up.
Subscribe.
Yeah.
I need subscribe when it thumbs up.
All right. So, I agree. It don't take but a second, but the support has been absolutely wonderful. Again, we thank you. Let's dive right into it. Tonight, we got a topic that if you're a parent or even if you're a child, you can relate to it. And it should impact you in one way or another, but it's the situation that took place between Kobe Bryant and his parents.
Yeah, that was unfortunate, and we still send prayers out to his family. But these are things that do go on in all of families, so it's good to get them out and talk about it and lay the issues on the table, so we all can heal. Yes,
and if you're not familiar with the situation, Kobe Bryant, of course, is a Hall of Fame NBA basketball player who recently passed away in a helicopter crash. And throughout the course of his career, I guess there had been some conflicts between he and his parents. And for some particular reason, it appeared that it wasn't resolved at the time of his death. And people are having feeling a certain type of way about the situation because at the funeral service, his parents were not even acknowledged, but they were present. And so, of course, being out of the African-American community, we would always have something to say about a situation like that, even as sensitive as it is.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. But we have a lot to talk about, so let's get started.
Well, basically, just to give you a brief history, he when he first got in the NBA, he met a young lady, I guess shortly after he was in the league, and he was living with his parents at that time. He went straight from high school to the NBA, so he was fairly young as a professional athlete.
But his family had, so he, gave some interviews prior, and when he was younger, when he first got in the NBA, and he said, he grew up kind of lonely because, his sister, he has a sister, a couple of sisters, but they had themselves and they did their thing. But he was kind of lonely, so he always would go and play basketball, and then they moved around a lot, so he never really had any close friends. And his parents didn't have that much time for him, so.
Yeah, his dad was also a professional basketball player, so that's why he probably didn't have the time to spend with him, and that's why they moved quite a bit, because he was what they term in professional sports as a journeyman, where you kind of go from team to team and from league to league. But I guess the bond wasn't there. Typically at a young age, a parent-child bond is developed when there's time spent, when there's love exchange and things like that. And like my wife said in previous interviews, Kobe said he didn't really experience that. He was left alone and left to himself a lot. And as you can see in his career, he was a very dedicated, a very insular type person.
Yeah, so he... according to interviews in the past, he didn't really get to develop those close bonds. You love your people, but you don't have a close bond with them. So that's what we're talking about now. And then, things happened later on in his life and career that kind of made the rift get greater.
And basically, to sum it up kind of briefly is that he met a young lady. He fell in love with her, and it proceeded on from there, and they decided to get married. And at that time, he was, like I say, he was fairly young.
He was in his early 20s. She was like 18 when they finally decided to get married.
And so his parents didn't really agree with it because he was so young. He hadn't really lived yet. And it became contentious. And of course, anytime there's money involved, like I say, he was a professional athlete, so he was generating a lot of revenue.
Yeah, allegedly he allowed his parents to control his estate and his monies, and they were managing him when he first got in the league. And so whether or not mismanagement went on, you know, he kind of alluded to a lot of that. So, you know, that was on the plate.
Right. And as with anything, anytime there's money involved and there's family, things could always get kind of dicey, whether it's a child and a parent or siblings or what have you.
And especially when you get married and then the money gets cut off.
Yeah, that becomes a problem. So I guess basically it still seems as though the situation could have been resolved. I think they had a couple of times where they tried to get the relationship back together, him and his father, but him and his mother.
Well, no, when they had their babies, they got back together again and repaired the relationship. And then many years later, I guess Kobe had purchased them a house, you know, allegedly, you know, purchased his parents a house. And I guess the mother wanted a new house. And so, you know, he was like, I'll give you $200,000 for this new house, you know. And so he finished telling the rest of the story. I guess there wasn't enough money.
Well, I think the mother wanted a house that cost around $450,000, somewhere in that range. I'm not quite sure the exact amount, but he was willing to give her a portion of that, and the existing home that she was living in, when she sold that house, she could use the remaining portion to pay for the home.
Allegedly, yes.
Right.
So these are things that's going around.
Allegedly, the mom wasn't content with that, and so she decided to sell some of his memorabilia that he accumulated over his career.
Yeah, some of those things included his high school jerseys, high school rings, a few of the championship rings he won with the Lakers, trophies, all kind of stuff. You're like, Mom.
Yeah, so you can see it if you had personal items and accolades that you've achieved over your life, and you felt like you've taken care of your parents, or you've done everything you could financially.
And the kicker is supposedly they weren't just like left at like, you know, he didn't give them to him. How did the parents acquire them?
Well, when he first got married, they were all living in a family home. But once he got married, his wife moved into the home and his parents moved out of the home. And when the parents moved out of the home, the movers took the memorabilia out of the original family home and moved it to the parents' new home. So it's not quite clear whether he wanted them to take it or not, but all the stuff was there at his parents' house, at the new house they purchased. And so the mom felt like the items were given to her, and so they was hers, and so they was hers to do as what she will. And she decided to take them to an auction house and get ready to auction them off.
Yeah, so when Kobe found this out, he was very hot, and he told them, you know, Mom, could you please not do that? Please stop that, you know. Could y'all have my things back? Could you not do these things? And then he had to go and he took legal matters, and he had junctions filed, and they had to cease the sale. And I think they came to some sort of settlement. I think it was over 100 pieces of memorabilia, but he allowed them to proceed to sell 6 of them, I think. Well, they could. That's what the court ordered.
Right.
Now, he didn't agree, and he had to sue his mom and the auction house company.
Yeah, he did.
You had to sue your mama. That's low.
Yeah, so it got really contentious at that time. And like we say, this is everybody looking from the outside and looking in, and you don't really have all the facts. Nobody does. Unless the man tell you himself personally.
But he did give an interview, and he told people that how much he offered to give the mom, and then how much she needed. All these facts as he gave the interview and said some of these things, all these, you know, most of this stuff. How we don't know, he just said, you know, hey.
Right.
But
from the outside looking in, most people feel like if they achieved something, they made some money, they bought their parents a home, that's a dream for most people. And to be able to take care of them is a dream. But you can see sometimes it could actually come out to be a negative for you. And for him it was. And he said it caused him a lot of heartache. He wrote a letter to himself as he was retiring. He wrote a letter to himself as a 17-year-old entering the league. And he spelled out the things that he wouldn't do at that age, that he learned, lessons learned.
Yeah.
And he said one of the most painful things it was he didn't separate business from his parents. And that's something he would always recommend anybody. If you're going into any kind of thing, whether you're a child star, what have you, try to keep your family as family and try not to mix the two. It tends to get pretty ugly.
Yeah, I mean, that's just too sad. So, yeah, at the time of the auction, that's when he split from his parents, and he didn't talk to him for many years. Oh, until he died, I think. Maybe he was trying to get connected back with a dad.
Yeah, I think him and the father was working on a reconciliation. I'm not sure had it fully taken place. But what happened is at his retirement ceremony, most people at that time, they typically reflect on all the people who was important in their life that helped them get to the point that they was. But Kobe never mentioned his parents at all during that.
They didn't go to the retirement ceremony.
They didn't. They didn't attend his wedding.
And they didn't attend his wedding.
Right. So you can see it was very contentious because those are some memorable moments in one's life. Not to have your parents share those moments with you. And like we said, at the funeral, his wife gave the eulogy for Kobe and his daughter. And
they were deciding whether or not they was even going to invite the parents to the funeral.
So that's where the problem came in. A lot of people felt a certain type of way about that. They was like, man, that's really rough. Nobody got up there. All the people who spoke, you had Shaquille O'Neal speaking, Michael Jordan, you had others speaking, and nobody acknowledged his parents at all. Maybe they knew more about the situation than the public. And then
probably a whole lot more went on that we don't even know about. Those are just the things that he decided to share.
Right. So just looking from the outside, it seemed to be very painful. And if you go through something like that, when you have a disagreement with somebody as close to you as a parent, it seems like y'all would try to work it out at some point. But when it comes to money, I don't think for Kobe it was more so the money, but feeling betrayed and crossed.
Yeah.
And that cuts deep. When people have that feeling arise, it takes a lot to get over.
I mean, the man had all these momentous occasions in his life. I mean, he was a superstar celebrity, got married, had kids, tried to take care of his people. They just continue to want to suck like a vampire, seems to be. So, this is just us looking at it from the outside. So you can't ever, even if you give them money, they keep taking, but not giving you what you need in a relationship, which is love and adoration or praise. Hey, you did a good job. Let's kick it. Let's hang out. You know what I'm saying? Not just for your money.
Well, that's what he said in his letter that he wrote to himself, is that he's guilty of stunting his parents' growth in terms of doing different things and being the best that they can be, because he kind of just like gave them everything they needed, and that's why he said he wouldn't do that again.
Wow, his dad was in the NBA.
Yeah, it was.
It ain't like they was broke.
But I mean, a lot of this story is very common with people who come into money, whether they're coming in through a lottery or just getting a good job or anything like that. When you come into money, you have to be prepared for it. And typically there's going to be issues between you and the family. If folks see you making money, they're going to expect for you to share. And he did that, so to speak.
Up to his point.
Right, but it was getting to be a bit much.
Well, they continue to want more. If they didn't have whatever he had, if it wasn't level playing field, they was upset. What appears to be so. I mean, how you can't live like that? That's no.
Yeah, it's just tough. It's a tough situation. It's tough for Kobe. It's tough for his parents.
So the issue is, should they have allowed the parents to speak or be acknowledged?
Of course you should allow the parents to speak. I mean, you can't take none of those worldly possessions with you to the grave. They ain't going to do you no good there. You still need your parents, I think, in the long run.
The man had died.
I know. I'm just saying in general. But his wife, I believe his wife should have stepped up to the plate and just acknowledged his parents. Unless Kobe wishes was, and we don't know this, and they may have had conversations, and he said, if something happened to me, I do not want them at my funeral. I don't want them speaking at my funeral.
They let him at the funeral.
Right, but I'm just saying, in that case, his wife would have to honor his wishes. I would think she would. Now, who knows? She might have just decided on her own that the situation was too contentious, and she didn't want to even bother with him.
Well, now you see what just happened now. Everybody's looking as far as what your title or what your position is. But in reality, if you don't own up or you don't put your dues in or you don't act as though you are entitled to those responsibilities that you are God given. You're the parent. Just like a deadbeat parent. Not that they was deadbeat, but if you don't behave in a way that requires respect, then how can you, you know, put that on somebody else if they have to give you that respect? If Kobe's parents, let's just say his mother, you know, because he was trying to repair a supposedly relationship with the dad. If Kobe's mother never behaved as a mother to him in the way he needed, what makes you think that she should be able to get up there and speak at his death?
I guess I got to agree with that. If she didn't behave in the maternal fact and the maternal nature, I mean, you can't expect anything like that. If you don't give anything, you can't expect anything. You have to be a mother, and he would have to be a son. If you're not there and you're not partaking in the child's life, you can't really expect anything. And
yeah, so, most of the momentous occasions, he chose specifically not to invite her. Well, in the beginning, he divided, but then they didn't come.
Well, they was there for his first championships and things of that nature.
Yeah, before he got married.
Well, for me, it seems where the situation went left is when the money situation got involved. So if you, just like I said in the beginning, if you love your family, always keep the money and the business separate. Because once that get involved, people tend to lose perspective on what they are to you. It becomes more of a business relationship than it does a family relationship.
You know how hard it is to cut your mama off?
Yeah, that's
it had to be a load.
That's what we call
cut your mama off.
We call that gangster. That's
Dang, I mean, it had got so bad he sued his mother. Okay. Especially in the black community, that's just something you just don't do that. And so it got so bad he had to do that. I mean, you don't know what that man's wishes was. He probably told her don't do all that, you know.
So based on what you just said in the black community, just taking it, not Kobe and his parents specifically, but a child and his parents, do he owe them or do she owe them any type of loyalty in that respect? To invite them to occasions like that, or to be at situations like that. Maybe it's not a funeral for themselves, but for somebody else, maybe a child. Or
well, let's say at the point they wasn't speaking, this had been many years now, even before he retired, even at his retirement ceremony, they apparently, you know, didn't come or wasn't invited, so they wasn't dealing with each other at that time. So that means the other kids, I don't even know if they even knew the little babies, the two little girls. I don't think they did. So even the kids that was born in it. So when the man dies, all of a sudden, then, I mean, that's rough. That's tough. If you wasn't partaking in the life, and then, you know.
My take on it is it's completely unfortunate. That's the only way I could look at it. It just was an unfortunate situation for him and his parents. Kobe, I don't think he did anything wrong in the beginning. He just was a young man who didn't have any control over anything. He was too young. So his parents managed his affairs. They managed his money. And I don't think his father made that kind of money. He played back in the day before the salaries were what they are now. And Kobe made a lot more money, and the father and the mother probably weren't accustomed to handling that kind of money. And that's where the problem ensued.
You see how still your perspective is it was just the money. It was just the money. My perspective is it was like emotional and mental damage. I mean, Kobe was talking about they was treating him similar to this when he was a little kid. It ain't just because of the money. Then when he was a little kid, he said he was lonely and they didn't ever spend time with the man or nothing like that. I mean, it ain't just when he had money.
Well, most in the African American community, maybe I speak for myself, but most people, you get love, you get a little bit of love, but most people in the African American community are trying to survive. They ain't really got a whole lot of time to cater to you all day long if you're lonely.
I know, honey, but even after they got the money, they still didn't revert and give the love and adoration.
That's where the problem happened. Once they got the money,
So before nor after. And then you want him to get up there and talk? What? Not, I mean, come on. The fact they was even invited was a big step. If they always treated his wife a certain kind of way.
Well, you always see you're gonna have that's what's going on right now, basically in the African American community. You got different perspective. My perspective is he's a young man. We get a certain amount of love. We're gonna roll with that. We're gonna take that. We're gonna deal with it. If I don't get it like I want it, I'm gonna be all right. Cause
I know, but then they cross you.
That's what I'm talking about. So that's a whole nother area. So once he got his money, like I say, he felt betrayed. Because he already probably felt like he didn't get the love he wanted, but the money caused him to be betrayed. Once moms decide to take his stuff, that he loved, I mean, he worked his, off to get that stuff, and moms took it and sold it like it was worthless. Even if he gave it to her, if you give your mom something like that, that is like a keepsake. That she keeps that. Stuff. But if she have to sell it, and she don't have to because you still got money. So whatever moms need, you got her. But if she out there going sideways, he ain't really have the money to give to her. Their mom selling stuff. That's it. He felt betrayed.
Then he asked her not to do that, and she still told him.
Yeah, he did, allegedly.
Give two sheets to the wind, told him get lost.
Well, it's a situation I'm glad I ain't never have to deal with. That's a tough one. To be able to cut your mom and your dad off. Like my wife say, perhaps the relationship was never developed. It was never there. So for them to get cut off, it was easier than it.
I don't think it was easy.
Well, I mean, if you ain't never really have a deep relationship, it's more painful to me to cut somebody off you love dearly.
I just think they just crossed him too many times. He alluded in a few interviews that then because they managed his money in the beginning, that they took advantage of his salary when he first got in the league, and that's the reason they was angry, when he got married and so on and so forth. You know how that goes. So they had a few times of messing it up. Okay.
Well, they did. And the unfortunate thing is the brother passed away when he wasn't speaking to his parents. So everybody can see every relationship is fragile. It takes nurturing. It takes care. It takes real love. You got to put aside all that other stuff, all those worldly possessions, and you got to focus on what's real. I think Kobe had achieved all the worldly stuff. That didn't really mean nothing to him. He worked for that stuff and he got it. But what was more important, as you can see, the way he interacted with his children was that interaction.
And he said because of the way he grew up and his interaction with his parents, this is the reason why he made it, his mission to go pick the kids up from school, go pick the kids up from daycare, from sports, be active with them, because he didn't have that, and he wished he did. So.
Right. Even though his schedule was jam-packed, he still found a way to be in his kids' life.
All over the country, you still flying back home to go pick your kids up from school. I mean, you got to admire that.
Yeah, so it was a lesson learned.
And maybe the parents spoke, you had a private ceremony. Maybe they said their piece there and it was private. And then, because this was a public forum, then, well, it was what it was.
Like I say again, I wouldn't want to wish that on anybody. That's a very tough situation.
Not even the worst enemy.
I don't even know if they have a relationship with the grandkids at this point. Hopefully they can get all that worked out. Sometimes the grandparent and the grandkids can have a better relationship than the parent and the child. So
yeah, but you form them bonds when the kids are younger, because you try to form a parent or grandparent relationship and you about grown, I'm gonna be like, I don't know you like that. That's just typically how it is. If you don't get it while they're a kid and you don't invest the time and effort as a kid.
Fortunately for him, he has, I think, 2 younger kids right now, and his oldest child is still living. So,
but he's gone. So do you think that the wife is gonna let the parents get close up on the kids?
I don't know. I just people just be getting all in their feelings and be digging in.
If the parents treated her a certain kind of way the entire 20 years they was together.
Well, I mean, that's, like we say, that's
I mean, I hate to laugh, that's so sad, but come on now.
I mean, that's her option if she want to do it that way.
You hope and pray she'll be the bigger person. But, I mean, that's going to be difficult.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's petty. You're living good, you're blessed. And
who's to say they've changed who they are? They may still be the same people. What you want them close up on your kids for?
I guess.
I mean, ain't no telling what they're suspecting. These are all allegeds and all that goodness. But, you know, hey, we be thinking, and I'm a mom, so I'm like, hey, no. Well, you ain't right. You ain't right in the heart. And you ain't right with the Lord if you doing all this foolery.
Well, that's between them. So hopefully the wife and if the mother of them can make amends, they probably need to apologize to the young lady.
Hopefully they can work it out.
And move forward with the whole process. I mean, they already done lost their son and over some beef.
And you would think they could make their own public statement to the public.
They say they will. They released a statement that at this time they're grieving, and in the future they'll let everybody know exactly what.
Yeah, so if they want to say something, they should have said it by now. Yeah, so there you go.
Well, we know where she stands. She's a hardcore Cobras reporter when it comes to that. They're cut off.
I ain't no cut off, but show by works.
Yeah,
remember that.
Well, if they ain't learned by now, maybe they not gonna learn. I mean, you lost your son.
You're old and rusty. Hopefully you change your ways, but can an old dog learn new tricks?
Yes, you can. And like I say, through this story, our community can learn a lot. I mean, just for the parents. Just cause you the parent, just cause you older, don't mean you right all the time.
Or you can run all through your people just because they're your people.
Right. His parents need to apologize for what they've done in the whole process and be big. Go to his wife and apologize. If Kobe chose that young lady to marry, it's not for the parents to tell him no. If he gonna make a mistake in his life, let him make the mistake.
Or you can give your suggestions.
Yeah.
But then, you let him live his own life. And they've been together 20 years and, he had a mistake or two, so he ain't perfect. But, he was a good father and he tried to make amends with his wife. So, hey.
And make sure you stay out your kids' financial situation. Separate that. Kobe at that time, he was 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
He was
they
young.
had to be over his
He was young, and he definitely needed help managing his affairs, but at that time, they should have been bringing him along to have him become more literate about finances. Because if you're managing somebody else's money and it's coming in like that, just like all the managers and accountants, they start to stick their hand in the cookie jar. So... But everybody out there, just learn from it. Try to be the best person you can. Try to stay out of other people's stuff like that, and everybody will be fine. Hopefully Kobe parents could, like I said, can apologize and get back on track and start loving their grandkids.
Yeah, that, hopefully.
Yes. And that's the best thing they could do to represent the young man's legacy.
Right. Repair a relationship with the grandbabies.
That's it. I think that'll make him happier than anything. But we thank y'all so much for tuning in, and we really do appreciate y'all coming in and listen to the discussion tonight. And if you could, please hit that subscription button, rather, and the notification bell. And also give us a thumbs up. And if you would, please leave some comments below, because I would definitely learn to hear your take on how this whole situation played out, and if you had any situations like this ever happen in your life or someone you know. And we would definitely be edified by it. We thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Good night.
Good night.